Hi, welcome to Let's Start Playing. My name is Henry and today I'm going to be teaching you how to play Living Forest. Living Forest is a game for 2 to 4 players. Players will be competing to complete one of 3 different objectives in Living Forest. One of your objectives is to collect 12 trees out on your player board. Another objective is to get 12 sacred symbols on one turn. These sacred symbols can be found on trees, they can be found as bonuses for completing rows on your board here, and they can also be found on your guardian animal cards located at the bottom. And the third way of winning is to put out 12 fires from the middle here. You'll need water to put out these fires, and water can be found also on trees, on your player board, and on your guardian animals. Up in the top right you can see every player's progress towards each of the victory conditions. At the moment I've got 1 fire, 2 trees, and 1 sacred flower. The reason why I have 1 of each of these and 2 trees is because we each have these victory tokens here, granting us 1 of each of the victory conditions. In the case of trees, we also have 1 pre-planted tree in the middle of our board, giving us the 2 tree total. To start a round in Living Forest, all players will draw a line of guardian animals from their deck. Each player have a different starting deck based on their character, and players will draw cards from this deck by clicking this draw button until they either decide to stop or until 3 solitary symbols are drawn from your deck. If you draw 3 symbols, you get punished with 1 less action in the next round. I've immediately drawn 2 solitary symbols from my deck, so I may want to stop here right now. If I was to stop, I would have these resources going into the round for my action phase, and these will determine what I can do in my action phase. All players do this at the same time, so my opponent will also be drawing cards from their deck and forming a line out here. Let's push our luck until we run into a 3rd solitary symbol. Now that I've drawn a 3rd black symbol, it has immediately ended my action phase, and I'm now waiting for all my opponents to finish drawing cards, either drawing 3 symbols or until they hit the stop button. Once all players are done drawing cards, each player will take up to 2 actions in turn order, starting with the first player. My opponent has already taken their action for the turn, and now it goes to me. If I hadn't drawn 3 of the solitary symbols, I would have 2 actions and I could perform both of these one after the other. However, because I did draw 3 black spots, I'll need to pick only 1 action to do. Let's go through the 4 different actions that you can do in Living Forest. The first of these actions are to hire guardian animals to add to your deck. When you hire a guardian animal, you place it on top of your deck, ready to be drawn in the next round. There are a few things to consider when hiring guardian animals. First one is the cost in the bottom right hand corner. This animal only costs 3, so I could hire this animal. I could also hire this animal that costs 2, and this animal that costs 2, giving me a total of 7. I could buy all of these cards because I have 7 suns located across this board here. This has been 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, and this one's a -2, so back down to 7. If I had any suns on trees, that will also be added to my total. One other thing to consider is some of these animals will have this white symbol up in the top left hand corner. None of these animals have been drawn in our first round, but they will appear just like these black ones, but with a white symbol up here. These white symbols cancel out 1 of the black symbols when they are drawn, allowing you to draw 1 more black symbol for every white symbol that you have drawn previously. We also need to consider these fire amounts here. Depending on which row we take cards from, a different amount of fire will be put into the middle of the board here. So if I buy these 3 cards along here, I will add 3 2 fires into this pool in the next round. And these fire symbols actually attack players when they go off if you do not have enough water to combat them. I'll explain that more later. Let's look at how you extinguish fire now. To extinguish fire, you need to select the fire in the middle that you want to extinguish. You can extinguish fires up to the amount of water that you have, and you can extinguish multiple fires in 1 turn. In this case, there's only 1 fire eligible to be extinguished, and this can have a max of 7 fires in it, and I have exactly 2 water being enough to extinguish this fire. If I was to extinguish it, I'd add it to my pool of fires over here, and it would add towards my 12 total towards victory. Another action we can do is to move around the outside of this ring here. To move around here, you need to count up how many of the whirlwind symbol you have. For every whirlwind symbol, you can move one space around this board. Because I am located here, I can move up to 2 spaces. This board has pre-printed bonuses based on the space you land. If I land on this space, I immediately get to draw a fragment tile from here. I'll explain fragment tiles in a moment. If I land on this space, I can use the buy animals action in addition to moving. This one will let me use the extinguish action, and the one under my token right now will let me buy trees, and it will have the tree symbol printed under there. Next action we can take is to add a tree to our collection of trees on our board. This is another victory condition that you can do. However, when you grow a tree, you can only pick one of these trees to grow. You can't pick multiple like you can the cards over here. And these trees will give you additional symbols every single round, including the current round. So if I had 2 actions this turn, I could grow this tree, and when I grow a tree, I need to place it adjacent to my starting tree or adjacent to a tree that's already been planted, and you put it out on your board. Once that's on your board, it will add me 2 more of this movement symbol, and if I didn't go over my limit of cards here, I could then use that 2 extra whirlwind symbol to move 4 spaces around this board. Same goes for all the other symbols on these trees. All the trees are fairly obvious, granting you the symbol that's depicted on them. Other than this one, this symbol lets you perform the same action twice on a turn on which you have 2 actions to use. Normally you need to perform 2 different actions on your turn. The last thing you need to discuss is this symbol here. And I can take one of these tokens as an action on my turn. And what these fragment tiles do are let you discard a card when you're drawing in a future round. So if I had a fragment tile on the previous turn, when I drew this last card, I could have used that fragment tile to put it into my discard pile, and then either stop or keep drawing on that round. Another reason why fragment tiles are good is if you ever get attacked by the fire in the middle and you don't have enough water to defend, you will get these fire cards equal to the number of fires in the middle of the board here. It will add these fire beasts, and all these have in it is a fire beast with 1 black symbol. These cards will go into your discard pile and can be drawn on future rounds. These fragment tiles, however, will destroy these cards and get them out of your deck. So that's one way to remove these out of your deck if you start getting too many of them. You can also get fragment tiles from here, and also these 2 locations on your tree board. You'll get 2 fragment tiles if you plant a tree on either of these locations. You'll get to do an extinguish action with a bonus of 2 if you go to this location, and a buy animals action with a bonus of 3 if you go to this location. Let's perform our action now, and then we'll move on to the next phase. The action I'm going to perform is to move twice around here and perform the buy animals action. And I'm going to buy these 3 animals along here. And you can see the game places these 2 symbols to indicate these fires will be added to this pool in the next phase. In the first part of the next phase, fires will be put out onto player's board and compared against water amount that they have. Because I had 2 water there and there was 2 fire added to me, I avoided having any of these cards added to my deck. If I had less water than the amount of fire in the middle, I would get these cards added to my deck equal to the amount of fires in the middle. In the last round it would have been 1. Then after that phase, fires get added from these cards into the middle ready for the next round. And only on the next round will all these fires be compared to my water, if no one extinguishes them before the round is done. A few other elements of this game is if you fill up this road in the middle here, you get 2 bonus sacred flowers permanently. And how sacred flowers work is if you can generate 12 of these on one turn, you'll win. And you generate these by having them on cards, getting these bonuses here, and having them on trees as well. And all these trees out here, there are 2 of these in the supply for each of them. And you can have multiple of the same tree planted in your forest. However, if you have multiple of the same tree planted in your forest, they don't go towards the victory, as you need 12 unique trees grown in your forest for that to trigger. One thing I haven't discussed is you can jump over other players on this round tracker here. And when you do this, you'll get to steal one of their victory tokens from their player board and add it to your own collection. So if I was able to jump my opponent here, I could steal one of these free victory tiles. If I was trying to go for a sacred flower victory, I could take that sacred flower and add it to here. If my opponent jumps me back over, he could take any of my ones or take his one back from me, add it back to his collection. And you can also jump over multiple opponents if there are multiple opponents in play. And to jump over this opponent, I would only need 1, 2, 3, 4 movement as you skip over the space that your opponent is located on. In BGA, you can also check what cards you've discarded during a round. You can't check your draw pile. And up here, it will keep a count of how many of each type of card you have in total. So I know that I've drawn 3 black symbols in my discard, so I know 3 more black symbols exist in these 7 cards. When someone does achieve 12 of any of these symbols on their turn, the game will end at the end of that round. If more than one player achieves over 12, see who has more. If it's still a tie, see who has the most of the other victory conditions completed. Whoever has more than the other players will win the game. And that should be everything you need to know to play Living Forest. I hope you enjoyed this explanation, and good luck playing Living Forest. Please like and subscribe if you like this video. It will encourage me to help make more. Thanks for watching.